Okay, so together. Now, I had seen like some kind of, just promotional stuff about this, and I was most definitely intrigued, right? It is the new film from Michael Shanks, who wrote and directed. It is produced by Mike Coap, Eric Feig, Julia Hammer, Tim Headington, Andrew Mittman, Max Silver, Alison Brie, and Dave Franco. It is executive produced by Leah Bumman, Kai Dulbashayan, Emma Fitzsimmons, Micah Green, Sarah Hong, Gemma Leslie, Sammy Kim Falvey, Sheehan MacArthur, Neil Shah, Daniel Steinman, Laura Walters. Right, it is associate produced by Melissa Russo, Melissa LaFontaine. We have got line production from Megan Wynn, and co-production from Jenny Truong and Natalia Mamie. It has music from Cornell Wilczek, Jermaine McMicking is down with the cinematography. Sean Laheath edits the piece. Casting was handled by Kate Leonard and Alison Telford. Alright, with Nicholas Dare on production design, Sam Jamieson on art direction, Maddie Worthington set decoration. Right, costume design, we had Maria Pattison. Right, hair and makeup and all of that jazz. We got Larry Van Dijnhoven, Bridie Stone, Chelsea Jones, and Ellie Daniel. Special effects, Arlo Marcantonitis. Visual effects, Carl Ashley, Genevieve Calamari, Christopher Chabar, Janelle Christiansen, Marion Dubouz, Imik Faraman, Belinda Fifi, Oliver Fleming, Sinji Gabua, Florian Gellinger, Katie Goodwin, Callum Grant, Taylor Hastings, Katrina Hoffman, Timothy Jeffs, Jonathan Corus, Gregor Luke, and Sophie Menk, Keith Mura, Chiara Milta, Joe Murphy, Paula Osawashka, Jeremy Page, Halmiro Paz, Tuni Pham, Monique Falloon, Adela Popsicu, Jeremy Ponk. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the cast. Right, so we have our couple, right? Tim, played by Dave Franco, and his wife Millie, girlfriend Millie actually, played by Alison Brie. There is their neighbour Jamie, played by, well, neighbour and work colleague for Millie, right? Damon Herriman plays Jamie. Kath is played by Mia Morrissey. Geordie, played by Carl Richmond. Luke, played by Jack Kenny. Carol, played by Francesca Walters. Dr. Mendoza is played by Algin Abella. Kerry is played by Sarah Lang. The chaplain, played by Rob Brown. Anna, played by Laura Iris. Millie's dad is played by Tom Considine. Her mum is played by Melanie Beddy. Tim's mum is played by Nancy Finn. His dad, played by Mark Robinson. Simon, played by Michael Shanks. Farmer, played by Sonny S. Walia. So the gist of the story: years into their relationship, Tim and Millie find themselves at a crossroads. As they move to the country, with tensions already flaring, an encounter with an unnatural force threatens to corrupt their lives, their love, and their flesh. Ooh. So yeah, like the clips I'd seen, it looked freaky, man. And this film, there's definitely some freaky moments, right? It is the directorial debut from Michael Shanks. Now, I know the name, but I cannot for the life of me pinpoint it. But I know he's done his thing in either TV or film, somehow. But yeah, it's his directorial debut. And right, we start off with like people looking for someone, right? There's some dogs in a cave, and they start drinking from this stream. And I mean, straight away, you know that that's not a good idea, right? And we then, yeah, the dogs are starting acting weird. And they get home, and in the middle of the night, there's noise. Yeah. It's all... Oh, I mean, I can't remember if we see what happens or we just see from the dad's point of view. But it's all a bit... you know what I mean? So then we jump to our couple, right? Our Millie and Tim. And they're having a party, right? They're having a party. It's a leaving do because they're moving to the country. And yeah, there's this odd energy, right? Obviously they're moving, but you get a sense that some of Millie's friends don't particularly like Tim, right? We get this apathy, right? It's interesting. It's not like you're getting a sense they hate each other or anything like that, but there's this weird disconnect in the air. Which is like incredible because I didn't know, but they're actually a couple, right? They're actually married in real life, Alison Brie and Dave Franco. I had no clue up until this moment in time, right? But the way they play off each other, there is a familiarity. So you're like, oh man, that's really, you know what I mean? But even so, right? You see people that, you know, are together and there's still a weirdness, right? So they do a great job. They do a great job as Tim and Millie. But something happens at this party that speaks volumes, and it is, I did laugh. I did laugh. but it's twisted and fucked up. It's not, but when I say that, it's not crazy, but it's just like, ooh, boy, oh boy, right? So we have that, and then that is a big factor of them moving to the country too. You're like, oh, okay, let's see what happens here. So we have this story dealing with this couple, right? Their relationship, their careers. Because Millie's a teacher, Tim's a musician, and all of this is kind of framed around this supernatural situation. And it is interesting. There's definitely moments where I jumped. Ugh. And the worst thing was, right, I've got these two friends behind me. And I think they're really into horror films, the way they were talking and shit. They're really into horror. So I'm sitting there, and then I'm jumping all over the shop, and I feel these two girls are just laughing at me. You're trying to style it out and be cool. Like, I don't jump at just anything. You know what I mean? But you're just like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? And it's just like, damn it, stop it. Right? So, yeah, this film, there's definitely jumps. There's definitely weird, creepy things that kind of make your skin go a little bit like, And we've got this weird situation as well with one of the teachers and their neighbor. So there is a lot of stuff going on. Now, as I said, I think the aesthetics of the film are done very well, right? The relationships, you do buy those. All of that stuff works. I did think, though, that there's certain things that could have been explored a little bit more. Because then that I think it helps the story. Now, there is a bit about, there's an aspect of the relationship that keeps on kind of getting mentioned. And it's not until towards the end that we find out a bit of the factor into it. But I even think that could be explored a little bit more. Right? Because the film is called Together. And I think there is a separation within them. So you have this juxtaposition of this supernatural shit, this couple that could be drifting apart, but we're not quite sure. So I think that if that's explored even more, it heightens the impact of this other thing. You know what I mean? It really does that. Also, it's like the thing with the neighbor and the kind of situation with what we see at the beginning with the dogs and all of that. Because it's not really touched on. And I think there's more to that. Right? There's more to the ceremony and these other things. So, although I think it's an interesting idea, right? I think it's a very interesting idea, and especially when you're using the framework of a couple's relationship, right? But I just thought there was things left on the table, right? There was components that could have really been explored and delved into, There was some just, like, when they were in the toilet and the pulling, just, oh boy, right? There's these bits, because even in the house, right, I kind of, there's again, sometimes it's the eye, you think, am I missing something with my bullshit eyesight, right? And I wasn't quite sure if we were seeing the outline of something. But the idea of this thing, it's not fully explained. And then we get this other thing that we see, and it's just like, okay, so why has that not gone full course? You know? I mean, that's all I can really say without, I don't want to try and spoil shit for you people. But yeah, there's these things that I think could have been fleshed out a little bit, right? Just, it helps the story. And I'm not like, we don't need everything laid out. It starts here and it goes here and it goes. No, we don't need that. But just give us a sprinkle a little something, right? Just sprinkle some seasoning, some extra seasoning, and then the film's fully cooked. But as it is, there's bits that are nice, there's other bits that seem undercooked, you know what I mean? Some bits are a little raw. So it's not a bad effort from Shanks. We definitely see promise here. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with his next project. Franco and Brie, they are very good, as I said. Like, our cast is good. We do get good performances. There's just elements of the story where this falls down and doesn't come together. But I guess if you like your horror, right? I think if you like Companion, I think you'll like Together. So, yeah. Oh, I literally just saw something where supposedly there's a lawsuit about this film, but hey ho. Anyway, if you like Companion, I think you will enjoy Together. Okay, so it is now out in the cinema. So yeah, people, there you go. Together.